Hi, everyone. It's Jamie Doe here, and I'm doing something new today. I have posted a few times on my social media about Evidence for Faith. It is a ministry that I fully 100 and 1,000, which is not a number, but I'm a writer, so we make things up. Percentage support, right? I love Evidence for Faith. And today I have with me the executive director, founder, brains, personality. I have Michael Lane, who is behind Evidence for Faith, along with a fabulous team of people that you work with. So,
Hi.
welcome, Michael.
Oh, it's good to see you and be with you.
It's good to see you too. Now, we've known each other for over 20 years.
Yes.
So, there is a lot of history. You and my husband, Nate, have done, I don't even know how many youth retreats now that we've done with church.
Over 20, probably around 25,
Has it been that
24,
many?
25, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So for those people who don't know who you are and who Evidence for Faith is, can you kind of tell us a little bit about who's Michael Lane? What is your ministry? Because you're going to describe it a lot better than I will.
Okay, well, I am actually a biology teacher by trade. I am a person who has taught in numerous places. My first school I taught at was in the Bahamas, where I spent a lot of my time, but met my wife there. And I taught high school sciences, biological sciences, and I taught for about 25, 26 years in both public school and private Christian schools. And God tremendously blessed my years in the school system. And I also went on to further my education. I've taken grad classes at Northern Illinois University. I worked and took classes at Southern Illinois University in a program that they had there. And I used to work at the Shedd Aquarium in Chicago. I'm fascinated with marine biology, but I also have a teaching minor in history. So I love history. I've taught history. Actually, Jamie, I only taught history 1 year.
Really?
Uh, it was down in the Bahamas, and I was teaching down there. Half my schedule was like biology, the other half was history. And they told me at the end of the year, we need you to go either just full time one or the other. And I could not motivate students in my history classes. I just couldn't get them interested. Where in science, I was very easily able to motivate students to want to learn and do
Sure.
things, but I don't know why it was. So I moved into that. And so I went to classes and took more stuff in biology.
Okay.
And but then in 90, let's see, in 1999, we began working, moved my family from, we were in Northern Illinois. We went to Fort Wilderness, a camp in the North Woods of Wisconsin, where I was the education director. I ran the nature center there.
Mhm.
And I was also one of the primary speakers. I did family camps. I spoke for them. Youth groups, like your
Mhm.
youth group,
Yep.
would come up. I even did 20 years of women's retreats. Don't ask. Just I
I still laugh when I hear that, but you know, God can use us in strange and mysterious ways, Michael.
yeah, I've only spoke twice at a men's retreat.
Really?
Yeah, and I have three girls, so I don't know.
Maybe that's why if you have three daughters, you're able to relate to, or at least communicate to our interesting way of
That must
thinking.
be it, because even my dog is a female. So
Oh, Michael. Oh, Michael. I love it. All right, so you were at Fort, and that's where I first met you. Did you know Nate before you knew me?
I don't believe so. I think the first year you didn't come.
That's right. I was sick or something like that. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep. And then we came, and that's how we all got introduced. And then since Fort, so that would have been for quite a few years, we knew you from Fort. And then
right.
after that camping experience or camp experience, then God took you in a different direction.
Totally moved me out into a field. I mean, I thought I would just live and die at Fort Wilderness. I never dreamed at my age I'd be doing something else. But then a person, he's actually the president of our board of directors. His name is Caleb Williams, and he runs a company. He
Okay.
founded a company called Better Wealth, which is also one of our supporters. And
Oh,
he uh, he is the one who actually came up with the idea of doing evidence for faith.
yep.
And he wanted to do an apologetics thing. And he came to me, and actually, it was on a Labor Day weekend. He came and asked me certain questions about doing opening up brand new apologetics ministry. And I thought he was actually just probing my mind to get suggestions on who to ask. And I had no idea he was asking me till the very
Okay.
end. He finally said, "You're not getting this. I want you to do it." And so we prayed about it, and like I felt this is where God wanted me to go. And so
Yeah.
that's what we do. So we started this ministry that's called Evidence for Faith. We're a nonprofit
Hmm.
ministry, and what we do, the residents called Evidence, the number four faith, is because it's basically set on four pillars,
Okay.
and that is science,
Hmm.
being my science background, using science in the Bible, using history,
Hmm.
archaeology, which is my hobby,
Hmm.
archaeology and the Bible, using the Bible itself, Christian living, studying the Bible. We're doing a series right now on the Gospel of John, going verse by verse through it. And also, our fourth pillar has to do with logic, because I speak a lot to people who do not believe in the Bible. They don't believe even in God. I'm
Hmm.
talking like atheists, agnostics, and I've often been allowed to come to even college universities and talk on evidence of God. And in doing so, I can't really use the Bible because they don't believe in the
Right.
Bible.
Right.
So I use logic.
Okay.
I use actually science and logic and archaeology to do this.
Yeah.
So that's what our ministry is. We have podcasts, we have videos. I travel all over speaking,
Hmm.
not just here in the Wisconsin Midwest area, but internationally also.
Hmm.
So that is basically
Yeah.
our ministry. And we just got recognized by an archaeological team in Israel. Um, the Temple Mount Sifting Project, and just last week, Biblical Archaeology Society contacted us that they
Hey,
have watched some of our stuff. So
wonderful.
this has just been amazing. Uh,
Yeah.
this is just expanding. I mean, I'm an old biology teacher, and I never dreamed I'd be doing this kind of work.
Right, right. Well, it's so exciting to watch, and I love it because, obviously, as you know, but my readers may not realize this, I am married to a pastor, and his passion, his whole life has been that logic, the apologetical side of how do you not that faith isn't a critical piece of our relationship with God, but also how do you use critical thinking and logic to explain that to the world around us and to understand the world around us. And so it's been fun and a blessing to be a part of your ministry and watch where God's been taking you. And some of my readers know this because they followed me on my personal page too. But my daughter actually went on your marine biology trip. So she loved that. And
Oh, she's coming back
she's
again.
coming back again. And she's sitting just off screen, pumping her fist. And she's all excited about it. So it's so neat to have. And I think that's one of the things that for me makes your ministry unique and is that those four pillars, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Very often you'll follow one area, which would be archaeology, or another area, which might be science. But one of the things that I love personally when I sit and listen to the different teachings that you've done and speaking opportunities you've had is how they actually all merge and they really kind of become a cohesive circle or unit. Why do you think it's important that we use science and archaeology and history and all of those things to incorporate into our faith and to understand faith?
Well, a lot of times we're told today, particularly, that you can't have a belief in God and believe in science at the
Mm,
same time. That many people I come across, they say, well, science has disproved God. Well, that is not true whatsoever. I mean, I'm a past published scientist in the field of fisheries genetics, and I've been published in other professional journals and stuff. But the thing is, going back to Louis Pasteur, one of the
mhm.
greatest scientists who I believe ever lived, and Louis Pasteur, a lot of people don't realize, was a Christian, and he also stated that science shouldn't draw us away from God, but the more we learn about science, it should draw us to God.
Mm.
And a lot of people love to quote the math and the physics things from Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton was a phenomenal Christian. He wrote more commentaries and more things on the Bible than he did on science. So
Wow.
when people
I didn't
say
know that.
science and the Bible, no, they don't go together. Yes, they do.
Yeah, I did not know that about Newton.
Yes, that is
I,
true. He was a one of and still is in many circles. He is actually considered a brilliant theologian.
really? See, I
Mhm.
learn something new every day when I talk to you. I didn't realize that. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah. And to answer your question dealing with history, well,
Yeah,
history, the Bible is history.
right.
And I love to talk about archaeology. And as you know, I do tours to Israel. I
Hmm.
take groups to Israel at times and showing the evidence. I mean, we go to a place like Jericho or Gezer or Megiddo or something, and we'll open up the Bible, we'll read it, and we'll read the passage here. And then here we are standing right there. And I said, okay, what you're looking at, there it is right there.
Mm,
What is mentioned right here in scripture, there it is. Or here's evidence that this person did actually live. So there's so much that just ties it together. And I believe that science in history like that, biblical history, can actually draw you in and get you to see that the Bible is true and that there truly is a God.
yeah, hence the evidence. Right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, this summer I've been teaching in Sunday school, middle schoolers. So we have seventh and eighth grade girls that I've been teaching. And I've been actually teaching them, this is really scary, Michael. I've been teaching them what the science of archaeology is. And I've been using some video curriculum, but actually saying but we started our series this summer with the question, if somebody were to ask you why you believe the Bible isn't just a book of fairy tales
Mm.
and myths, what would you say? And to their credit, God
Uh-huh.
bless them, they all went back to scripture, which was
Wow.
great. And they gave me some Bible verses and things. I said, that's awesome. And I love that you've hidden God's word in your heart. But what if I don't believe that it's true?
Mm.
How do we learn that it's true? And one of them mentioned, we should ask Michael Lane. So I said, yes, we could. However, he's not here today. So we're going to talk about so we've just been using archaeology,
Yeah.
and learning some things about what the science of archaeology is, and then looking at different things. And so every Sunday, we take the whiteboard and we do the exact same timeline. So they're learning like the whole timeline all the way up to the birth of Christ. So they're learning about, Egypt and then Assyria and then Persia and Babylon and all these different places. And then when we watch these videos where they start talking about different archaeological pieces, we'll pause it and say, okay, where on the timeline does this fit? And then the video that we're using also has the scripture that supports it. And so they're getting really excited because they're seeing things like steles and little things that are found over in Syria and here that they're like, wait, there's actually evidence for what was written in scripture.
Yes.
And then one of the girls, well, I think you know Mackenzie.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
but our sweet Mackenzie, she goes, that means the Bible isn't a fairy tale. She says, because you can't have a fairy tale and have truth. And I got goosebumps. It was such a great opportunity.
Yeah. What an enlightenment. Hmm.
Right, right. So it's been really cool. So that's for those listening, that's what Michael has also helped plant lots of seeds in our youth, through our youth ministries and stuff that you've spoken at our youth conferences. You do this with your marine biology. And I'm just really excited for readers to get to know you because one of the things that I believe is unique about your ministry is you go out and you speak at various places and it's all you don't charge. You're just
No,
supported on faith, correct?
that is correct, which was a major struggle for when I
Yeah.
was talking about when they first approached me about doing this ministry. Um, I said, well, I will do this on one condition that we don't charge a speaker fee.
Hmm.
And I have Caleb and other people have, I get asked this all the time. Why don't you? Because some of the speakers, apologetic speakers, I know some that get $6,000 per session that they
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
And I will not charge for that. And my reasoning is very simple. I look at what scripture says. Paul, Peter, the apostles and stuff went out, and it wasn't like when Paul was, say, like in Galatia, that the Macedonians were saying, "Hey, come over here and be our speaker. We'll pay you so much." Or Paul saying, "Okay, I'll come if you pay me so many, Syrian coins or something like this,
Mhm.
or, I'll go to Rome only if you pay me such a high price. No, the gospel was free. It was given free. I can't see myself charging money for that.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Will not do that.
And so that's another reason why I'm so behind Evidence for Faith, because you and your staff, I include your staff, obviously, are on the mission field,
Yes,
and
sir.
you are legitimately missionaries that go out on faith and use these amazing concepts to spread the gospel. And then I look, and that's one of the reasons I shared the story about the middle school youth group, because the girls in my church obviously know who you are from youth retreats and such. But the seeds that you've planted have become, or that God has allowed you to plant, and used you to plant, let's give glory where it's due,
Mhm.
has allowed for those continued conversations. And I want my readers who are following and watching this to know that your ministry is out there, and they don't have to suddenly come up with $6,000 to talk to you.
No. Matter of fact, Jamie, we've had churches that found us online,
Hmm.
that when they found out, because it's on there that we don't
Yep.
charge a speaker fee, and some of these churches are small. I mean, we're
Hmm.
talking in some cases like maybe easily less than 100 people,
Hmm.
and they would like to hold a conference. They would like to have somebody come in and speak on biblical archaeology, how it pertains to the Bible, or how does science in the Bible, what is there in the Bible that is scientifically that people say is wrong, where I will show them that the Bible doesn't have science errors in there. And
Hmm.
when they see that we don't charge a fee, they have told me many times, we love having you here because we can't afford a
Right,
$6,000 speaker. So
right.
we're in their price range.
Yeah, I know. And it's so exciting because, I just, whether you're an adult or whether you have a youth group, whether you're a homeschool group, whether you're a public school group, any of those scenarios, um, again, being the wife of a youth pastor, I look at the seeds that get planted in kids and as they grow, and just even in my own children. And now my daughter's on year 2 of your marine biology trip. My son, who was like, I don't want to go on marine, he's going on the marine biology trip. But the excitement, for him is to learn more about the Lord and about
Yeah.
God, who he worships, and learn how that relates to science. So here's a big question now,
Mhm.
because readers are probably going, Jamie, you write stories, you write fiction. And my readers are also very voracious readers of like biblical fiction, historical fiction, and all of that. One of the arguments that I've heard, or questions, I should say, and I've been asked is if you have an interest in spreading the gospel of Christ, and sharing factual truths in fiction, like the book that I just came out with, I dealt a lot with the concepts of the paranormal and mysticism as it's infiltrated into culture today. And what is this search for truth that we're on? And readers will ask me, why do you use fiction to communicate a story? And is there a place for fiction when we have science, archaeology, and fact that we can turn to? And so I kind of wanted to put you on the spot a little bit and say, if somebody were to ask you, is there a place? I'm a reader, I love to read books. Should I be reading other things besides fiction, or is there a place for both? Or how can God use this all in the world of his faith?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of different ways to look at this. One that comes to mind immediately when you started this was, um, I back in the 1980s and the 1990s, our church, the church I was going to, it had an extensive, pretty good sized library.
Yeah.
And one thing that I loved to do was pick up Christian fiction
Okay.
and read in there. I mean, I spent a lot of time studying the Bible. I was the youth director at the church, but I found a relaxing time of being able to read this. And it was sometimes on biblical characters that are sort of minor and they didn't have a lot of information.
Yeah.
So they embellish the story, but they keep it along biblical lines.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they're not teaching a falsehood from the Bible, but they do this. The whole series that's been on television lately, The Chosen,
Right.
has done the exact same thing. That they're taking biblical concepts, but they're adding fiction to it to make it more entertaining and to fill, as I heard one person say, it fills in the gaps of what you would have just in the Bible.
Hmm.
And they acknowledge that we're taking liberty with this,
Hmm.
but it makes it entertaining and flowing, and yet it's teaching biblical principles.
Right.
So I used to love to read that kind of stuff. There were many books I read like that on Ruth or on Bathsheba and other people. I loved reading that kind of stuff on Joshua and things. But also, it gives you sometimes when I have read just ordinary fiction myself. I remember reading a book many years ago. This is back in the 70s. It was a book dealing with the French and Indian War. It was a
Mm-hmm.
fiction book. I picked up in a bookstore. This is down in the Bahamas, and I picked it up and I started reading this. And some of this was taking place in Southern Illinois, which is where my parents were from.
Mm,
And I was like, ah, I remember that's a real place. Oh,
yeah.
I remember my dad taking me to this
Yeah.
and stuff. And so it brought back a lot of things, even though it's fiction,
Right.
but it really intrigued my interest and got me more involved in it. And I loved reading. I can still remember those books from the 70s, that book in particular, with the history aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also from another perspective, by reading historical fiction or just fiction itself, um, with a biblical emphasis, it gives a person a chance to do a little research too.
Yeah.
Like, is this the way is this really fitting the Bible? Is this
Mhm.
was this a real place? And they can find these kind of things. So it intrigues people to search further, I believe. I
Yeah.
think that helps a lot. My wife loves, she absolutely loves your books. I mean, you are her favorite author. There's no question about it. And she has loved these books, and all my three girls read them. And now my granddaughter is reading your books. And so who's sitting right here on the other side of the camera.
We both
Uh,
have teenagers off camera.
yeah, we do. And by reading these things, it entertains them, it relaxes them. And the thing is, by reading biblical fiction and stuff like this, or even just fiction in general, you have to have sometimes for fiction, you have to have some truth into it to make the story
Hmm.
believable.
Hmm.
And as an author, you have to do research onto all of this. You just don't make stuff up
Right.
um, entirely because you base things as a fiction writer. I have a cousin who, oh, she's very elderly now, but she wrote a book. It was a romance novel based on pirates during the golden age of piracy,
Mhm.
and she called me up because I love pirates. As Jamie, I
I
dress
know
up as
you
a
love
pirate.
pirates. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. When you go to my office, you're going to see pirate stuff everywhere. But she would ask me all sorts of questions when she was doing this about the history of the pirates because she wanted her fictional account to sound as realistic as possible.
Yeah.
And that works
Yep.
both ways, both for the author who's writing it, but also for the people who are reading it.
Yeah.
I think it makes a big difference.
Yeah. I love that too because one of the things that I've found as an author and writing biblically based fiction um, is incorporating truths into fiction where people can learn potentially through the point of view of a person who's not really alive, but a fictional character, right? But then taking them back to truths that I've learned through science, through archaeology, through history, and being able to kind of full circle that. Because I know when I was a kid, if you had plopped a science textbook or a history book and said, "Here, go read this for fun," I would have been, "No, thank you." But I read and devoured fiction voraciously. And then when I got older, it was kind of that journey of like, what if I'm just engorging myself on false information that, I'm believing that some of the stuff is true. And then you start researching, and it's kind of a neat gateway to learning what truth really is.
So true. You are
Yeah.
correct.
So,
Mhm.
okay. Before we get to our little giveaway, I'll let you introduce our little giveaway here. But you just recently did a series on the Shroud of Turin, which I'm going to be honest here, and I'm probably going to get lots of comments on this. I was personally raised to believe that it was essentially fiction, right? That this is not a real a real shroud of Christ, etc. Um, and then I'm not asking you to repeat your entire series because everybody can go see that on YouTube. But um, you put out some interesting new thoughts about the shroud, maybe not being as fictional as I once thought. Do you want to give us a brief summary of this series that readers can go check out?
Sure. We are coming to the end of a series we were doing called Artifact Facts. And as a staff, we're trying to brainstorm what's going to be our next big series. And it just so happened a copy of the Shroud of Turin, or the burial cloth of Christ, as some
Right,
people refer to it,
right.
which is like 14 feet long, one became available to us. So we purchased it.
Mhm.
And I thought, let's go ahead and get this. But like you, Jamie, I didn't believe hardly anything about it. I first came across it when I was in high school at a bookstore. I saw a book on it, and it was in the nonfiction section. So I was a little intrigued about the burial cloth of Christ. I didn't know a lot about it. And I
Right.
started reading this, and I was like, I'm not swallowing this. And I have been a skeptic. Matter of fact, just a person just the other day came up to me. They had finished watching the series and they said, when I started watching this, I remember you talking about that you didn't believe it, but you raised certain points that, whoa, is this really true?
Neat.
And yeah, I mean, as I researched, and oh my gosh, the amount of research, I couldn't even begin to count how many papers I read, because it's the most studied archaeological artifact in the world,
Wow.
more
Okay.
so than anything in Egypt or any place else. Not even King Tut has, the relics there have been studied as much as the Shroud of Turin. It is the number one top investigative artifact.
Wow.
And there have been people on both sides, but as I studied this, I was more of a skeptic as I kept going through this and reading papers, and plus some of the new scientific technology coming out to be able to test things
Mhm.
like, is this really blood, or is this an iron pigment that was made in the
Right.
Middle Ages? They have now found definitively, I don't think hardly anybody can argue with this. It is blood that is on there. Matter of fact, they were able to even type the blood. It's AB blood. They have found blood components mixed in with it. And they've done different datings on it. One of the things that really I struggled with was the radioactive dating test
Mhm.
that they did back in 1988. But when that came out, I obtained a paper on how the scientists did it. Now, as I told you, I'm a former scientist.
Mhm.
And as I was reading this, I just kept seeing flaws in their methodology
Okay.
that they did. And three different labs tested it. They all came up with roughly maybe about a century and a half apart during the Middle Ages. And I was like, this, they totally flubbed this. So I just had to throw that aside, those dates. And as I started researching, and I'm finding out there's other techniques now that they use for dating material like that.
Mhm.
And plus other fabrics that were found at Masada and other places that they compared it to. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this goes back to the first century. And even some of the pollens, the imprints of flowers, which I didn't even know there was. You look at it, you can't see it, but with special lighting, there's flowers that were placed around the head. And the flowers, botanists who have looked at this have all examined it, and they said these are flowers found around Jerusalem in the springtime. And I'm just like, this is blowing my mind. I'm not saying it's at 100%. And I think I conclude with this in the series that I'm not 100% convicted that this is totally 100% authentic, but I'm easily in the 95% that it is at
Wow.
this point. I mean, it
Wow.
totally changed my view
Yeah.
by researching this.
Yeah. Well, and that for me is like really intriguing because I don't think like science. So I would, I'm just, I don't think scientifically, right? So when you have a scientist who's studying and doing all the research going, I went from fiction to I'm 95% convinced this is nonfiction, then my brain starts going, whoa,
Yeah.
that's a mind blowing.
And
Absolutely mind.
that's the way my brain works. Being a scientist, a person trained in science,
Yeah.
I look at things like that.
Yes.
And I investigate things. Sort of, believe it or not, that's like a hobby for me, is reading scientific papers. I know.
Oh,
Some of
yeah.
some of your
Yeah.
listeners are probably saying, this guy needs to get a life.
No, they'll probably start sending you all the scientific papers that they just want summarized.
Oh boy.
It's a new branch of ministry. Oh, fun. Well, okay. So you have resources out on YouTube, you have a Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to put all the links with this, but we are doing something special today just for my readers. And then any, obviously if you want to share this, that's fine too. But what are we giving away to readers who want to enter this giveaway for free?
I have an oil lamp, and you can see that this is a funny looking oil lamp. A lot of times we think of ancient oil lamps from like biblical periods as being totally different, much larger. It is a copy, to let you know, it is a copy. If I could get Cora, if you could hand me one of the real ones over there to show you the difference. But this is a real Herodian, that's in other words, the time of Christ,
Christ, okay.
type of an oil lamp. And these were used when we read about stories in the Bible, like the lady who lost a coin uses an
Yep.
oil lamp. This is the kind of thing they use. Now, as I said, this is not authentic. This one here, this is an authentic one, but this is earlier than
Okay.
this one. This dates back to about the time of King David or so, the early part of the monarchy. This one's probably close to 3,000 years old, and
Wow.
that's real. This one, some little boy, I guess, is sitting in Jerusalem behind a shop, and he's making these. They make them look like they're aged, and they put a little wick in here and
Yeah.
stuff. You can't, it does work. You
I was
can
gonna say,
pour
does it work?
oil in here,
Okay.
olive oil in there, and light it, and it will light, and it can burn. They would put it on a little pedestal or something.
Mhm.
This is what they used, and they've aged this one to make it look just like an authentic first century oil lamp, which they sell in Israel. These, even the copies, about the cheapest I've ever seen for one like this is around $35
Okay.
easily.
Yeah,
Some go much higher than that.
sure.
But that is what we're giving away is
I love it.
a replica Herodian oil lamp from the time of Christ.
Right. Or we could call it your reading lamp for bedtime for all our readers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there.
Put up here,
So,
put infused oil in here, or like, olive oil. It's
right,
got,
right.
don't put garlic in the olive oil for that one, but
No, no, it's yeah.
you could put that right there, and it burns really bright. It does.
I've heard that they are actually quite illuminating. Like they
Yes,
burn
they
bright
do.
and they burn for a long time, obviously, with oil. So
Yeah.
that reminds me of that old, this total tangent, but that old song that we used to sing, "Give me oil in my lamp, keep me burning."
Oh yeah.
Remember that one from
I
like
do remember
that was
that.
when I was little. We'd have these, "Give me oil in my lamp, keep it burning. Give me oil in my lamp, I pray." Hallelujah. Okay. My daughter's gonna be like, "Mom, be quiet. This is embarrassing." Oh, fun. All right. Well, we will be giving this lamp away. There will also be a link associated with this video. So if you're watching, there'll be a link in the comments that you can go and you can enter to potentially win this replica.
Mhm.
Heavy emphasis on replica, not the other one that
Yes.
was 3,000 years old. That was a fun demo.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're doing this replica and but above and beyond all of this for my readers, I really want you all to know how much I've been praying over the last couple of years for a ministry that I can, it sounds so dumb, but I can put my stamp of approval on. But a lot of you follow me and for whatever reason, trust me, and I really thank the Lord for all of you who have been a part of my own personal ministry, writing fiction. And a lot of you have come out in the last couple of months with the Bookshop of 99 Doors that just released. And you sent me emails about how grateful you were that with that book, I was far more overt with the quest and the search for truth and what is truth. And how do we know what truth is when we are surrounded by negotiable truth. Your truth is your truth, my truth is my truth, and we all respect everyone's truth. Can you have more than one truth? These are big questions, and I tackled some of them in the Bookshop of 99 Doors, partially and a lot because of Evidence for Faith ministry and with people like my husband who study apologetics and things that are evidence for the faith that we believe in, so that it's not mysticism, it's not fairy tales, it's not blind faith. Like we are putting our hope in something that is true and secure and has been proven and tested and challenged for centuries and thousands of years and has yet to fail a test because it's not going to. Um, and that's one of the reasons why I'm very passionate for all of you, my readers, to get to know Evidence for Faith. Reach out to them, reach out to Evidence for Faith, support them in prayer, support them by following and sharing them on your social medias, support them monetarily if the Lord lays it on your heart, and reach out if you need somebody to minister to whoever. Michael, say whatever you want to say.
But while we're available, we'll go anywhere. Like I say, no speaker fee. I'm never going to charge somebody to hear about God. I just
Yeah.
no. The only thing we do ask is if it's really far away, if they could help with transportation or lodging, food, or something like that. But there is no speaker fee. I mean, if someone still wants to make a donation, they want to give an honorarium, well, we'll put that in the ministry. I do not pocket it.
Mhm.
Nothing like that. I just no, I'm not going to do that. Matter of fact, um, I haven't had a raise in over probably close to 20 years because I'm able to live on the funds that we have. And so I have refused raises. Even the board of directors say you need to raise your salary. And I'm like, let's give it to the staff so that
Mhm.
they will stay with us and help us to
Yeah.
keep going. I'd
Yeah.
much rather do that. I mean, we're able to survive here.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
but yeah, but I got to tell you, one thing that just popped up in my head too, Jamie,
Yeah.
is there was a person back in the 1800s. His name was Sir William Ramsay. This guy did not believe in the Bible. I mean, he thought the Bible was literally one of the most best-selling books of fiction there
Fiction.
was.
Hmm.
And William Ramsay was a professor of history, and he proclaimed to the world that as he held up a Bible, I'm going to prove that this isn't true. And he went over using the book of Luke and the book of Acts. Luke wrote Acts also. Using those two books, he says, I will disprove the Bible. And he went over, spent several years in the Holy Land in Asia Minor, into Italy. And what he found out when he finished, he says, Luke was a remarkable historian, and everything in here is true. And he became a Christian, and he was knighted by Queen Victoria. And he wrote books on this. Then from then on, he was writing the truth of this. But he was a person that he thought it was a totally fictitious book.
Right. Right. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. This is the stuff that gives me goosebumps, people. This is real life. And I love it. So, Michael, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for allowing, and thank you to your staff for allowing the Lord to use you in my family's life, my children's life, our church's life, and the lives of so many people. And I just feel it's so important to keep getting truth out there in a world that's really gray and confusing. And I love that we're giving away a lamp because what shines brighter than the light of Christ?
So true.
I
So
love that.
true.
Thank you so much, Michael.
It's been an honor.